Welcome back, y'all. Street Academy Podcast, where we keep one foot in the academy and one foot in the streets. And we shivering, and it's 150,000 degrees.
It's a shimmy. It's a shimmy. I'm only ever shimmying.
Dr. Hater's not here right now. She's not feeling well, but she'll be back later. And so we had to kind of shift real quick to do this mini-sode, and then we'll come back and we will wrap up. We promise we will wrap up the Black Capitalism episode and find out that I really won. So I just want to make sure that that's pointed out.
Okay, we'll make sure. Now you know. Stay with us. Stay with us. You just have to wait a little bit longer for the closing of that capitalism debate.
But we will have that. But shout out to Dr. Hater. I hope she feels better for sure.
Healing energy.
So how are you doing?
I'm pretty good. How are you doing with the crisp white polo on?
Man, so right now I am not in Atlanta. I am in Florida right now for my aunt. My aunt is turning 80.
Oh, wow, beautiful.
Yeah, she's like the matriarch of our family and all of that. So
hey, auntie.
Yeah, so happy birthday to my aunt Doris.
Happy birthday.
So yeah, she's turning 80. So we having a big surprise birthday party for her.
Oh, she doesn't know?
Nah, she don't know.
Oh Lord, I hope she's okay with it. Does she like surprises?
She loves family.
Okay.
She loves family, and all the family, a lot of the family from like all over the country are here.
Oh my goodness.
She's gonna be super surprised tomorrow.
She's gonna feel so special.
Yeah, so I'm really excited. I'm excited for her. So
we gotta celebrate our people, man.
Yeah. They was like, John, we want you to host the
of course.
The party. So I was like, you know, I'm gonna tell some inappropriate jokes. But besides that, I've been cool. And I was telling you, I mean, I don't mind saying it on a recording, but I've been having this like lonely spirit. I've been feeling kind of lonely lately. So I don't know. Probably need to go holler at my therapist, see what's going on, see why I've been feeling so lonely lately.
Aww.
Yeah.
Well, you're not alone. You are not alone.
That leads me to So have you been hearing about how everybody's been saying Chris Brown is better than Michael Jackson? Have you heard this?
Okay, so I saw a headline that said Chris Brown has finally said that he is not better than MJ. And so, but I didn't look at anything. I haven't been seeing it, no.
That's been a big thing on social media, like people arguing that Chris Brown is better than Michael. Of course, people saying you crazy. Michael is the greatest. Mm-hmm. So when you saying that, it just reminded me of that.
Well, I guess that actually takes us into our topic for this mini-sode, which is all music is Black music.
Yes.
Or is it? How long is it going to take for music or for what happens when music, like when as time passes, who gets the credit?
Yeah. And
so we think about even generationally, it's like Michael Jackson, Chris Brown, the people in Chris Brown's generation, will they be like, Chris Brown is the greatest? Will people in MJ's generation be like, MJ is the greatest? And then as we keep going, it's just like, well, where did all this music come from in the first place? Oh, Michael was the first one who started it. Or no, it was Michael got it from James Brown. Well, James Brown got it from this no-name person. Mm-hmm. What happens to the stories of music as time continues to pass? That's where we are right now. And you know why? Because I posed this question to John. I posed a theory. I have a fear that what happened to country music, what has happened to house music is going to happen to hip hop, which is people will forget the Black origins. It only needs to be a certain period of time to pass, a certain amount of whitewashing, a certain amount of colonizing of this particular genre for people to forget that Black people started it. So I don't know if you all have seen, there's a really interesting documentary on Amazon Prime called For the Love of Country. And it's profiling country music artists who are all Black. And they're all talking about the stories of like them trying to break into country music in Nashville. And I'm just like, and of course they give the history of country music, and it's just like, damn, everything really did start with Black people. But I would say categorically, most people would not associate country music with a Black or brown face at all. John, do you associate country music with, like, who, when you think country music, who do you think of?
When I think about country music, I think about white people. I think about like you know, what's his name? Hey, don't tear my heart, my achy breaky heart.
I was gonna say Billy Ray Cyrus. That's
Billy,
kind of don't tear my heart,
my
achy breaky heart. That's
I think about all of those like artists, you know. Yeah, I remember there was this commercial, I don't know, back in the 90s, and they would, you know, promote certain types of music, and they would have all of these songs that would go down, and they would have the titles of the songs. And whenever they would have the country music ones, I would just remember like the little ditties from each of those country. But it was always white. I never associated Black people with country music. Still to this day is that I have to force myself to think, oh, Black people originated everything, so we of course originated country music. But I honestly don't. The first time it really hit me was when I saw the movie Ray.
Oh, you know, I still haven't seen Ray. I know, it's kind of crazy. I haven't seen Ray or Ali. Like, you would love
Ray, Amber.
I need to go ahead and see it. I might look at it this weekend. I need to find which service it's on.
Yeah, you would. It come on BET like every other week.
I don't got BET. I got my TV. Yes.
Yeah, I remember there's a scene in the Ray movie, and he's like just, you know, playing the piano and all this stuff. He hears like a country music band, and he goes in there and he says, "Hey, I want to play with y'all." And they're like, you Black, we don't play no boogie woogie. We play, good old country music. And he's like, "I love country music." They say, "What you love about country music, boy?" And he said, "I love the stories." And then he starts he starts playing the country music, and they're like, "Okay." And so they start playing, and that's how Ray Charles got started, was playing in the country music band, I think in Florida or something. So that was my first time really knowing that there was kind of like Black origins in country music. But yeah, that's not something I'm familiar with.
And so my first understanding of even Black people in house music was because of Beyonce and Drake with their recent releases. And so my boyfriend, he knows a lot about music. And so he was telling me, he was schooling me about house music and how house music started with Black people again. And the same with like techno, punk, all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, now country, I could have seen, but then also I was thinking, okay, I could imagine, because it's been so long ago, like the story of like, I feel like it started more like in the 20s or 30s or something like that. But house, I don't think has that long of a history. And so for me, house was definitely not something that I associated with Black people at all. It was, I remember back in college when I was studying abroad, I had bought a compilation CD of like house music. And it was just like, be my lover, won't you be my lover? Or like, what's the other song? Baby, don't hurt me.
Oh, no, that's house?
Yeah, all that. Well, I also don't know enough about house to know like all of the subgenres, but I think it is. And so I remember when I would be playing my little CD, she would be like, "You like white gay man music?" And I'm like, "Is that what it is?" And so it's funny
that's what I think of when I think about,
because for me it's like exactly. Why you have to do your eyes like that, John? Like, is that what is that?
That's my impersonation of gay people.
That's all gay people be opening their eyes like that, John.
I don't know. Shout out to my LGBTQ.
Shout out, no
LGBTQ. We just playing around.
So here's the thing. So that's my association. I'm not thinking like, no, this started with Black people, but then at the same time, it's like, of course, think about this driving beat. Of course, it's like Black people, drums, beat, whatever. But what about you, John? Did you have that association? Like, where did you think house music came from?
Yeah, I always thought it's interesting because we were talking before this, and I called house music techno music. So I would think of, I call it the
exactly
music. That's what I was like, oh, techno, you mean the, and then you start doing the, the dances and the
ladies. You did pretty good though, John. Have you ever just been like a beatboxer?
I wish.
That was pretty good though.
Man,
I can't even do it how you did it.
yeah, that's how I always connect. But I didn't know that that was called house music till, you know, of course, Beyonce and Drake dropped these, you know, these songs, and so everybody been talking about house, house, house. I had heard of house music because, like I said, I had a friend who lived in Boston and moved to Atlanta, and he used to always, I would say, "Yo, what you doing this weekend?" "Oh, I'm going to this house music festival. I'm going to this house music event downtown." And I'm like, bro, why you even be listening to that, like that white people music? You know, like that's crazy. But I didn't know that that started in the predominantly Black, predominantly gay areas of, you know, Chicago, and kind of came out of that. So yeah, that was new. And not until I saw this reel on Instagram where it I guess it started in the 80s and then went into the 90s, and there were certain big popular songs that I knew that I didn't know had the house music influence. I just knew it was like popular songs. One of them was Together Again by Janet Jackson. Another one was I can't remember it. I have to go back and find it. But another one, it was another song as well. I was like, oh, I remember that song growing up. So
I mean, the more you know, the more we learn. And I think, and it makes me wonder, like, well, how do we even learn these histories? How do we make sure that these stories are there so that we give attribution and credit where credit is due? And so it takes me, of course, to my primary fear, which I shouldn't live in fear. I do recognize this, but I have this same concern for hip hop music and for rap music, because I'm like, how long is it going to take for the stories of the origin stories of hip hop to also be either erased or suppressed, so that in 75 years, 100 years, the Black kids of that day are like, oh, we kind of associate that with, you know, Eminem or Macklemore or some other white artist. Like, it kind of makes me scared. But John, when we were talking about it, you were like, you don't necessarily feel like that's going to happen with hip hop music. So can you speak to that?
yeah, I didn't until you now made me scared. When you talked about when you went to
it planted some fear in me.
Planted fear in me. So now I got to my therapist and get that out of there.
John's therapist will be like, who is this person who implanted
fear? Who keeps doing all this work?
Her name is Amber, the godmother of Decatur. And John, so here's the problem. You put godmother Decatur in one of the descriptions, and I'm fearful that some Decatur person is gonna come after me and be like, yo, listen, who is out here calling themselves the godmother of Decatur?
You got a crew, we got a crew too. I don't know what you think this is. You know how many subscribers we got? Followers who will come through? What is you saying? We get a subscriber every day. Every episode, we get one new subscriber. What are you talking?
Thank you all. Y'all holding it down for us. And if somebody come at the godmother Decatur, I need y'all to come and help me square up.
Square up what it is, what the business is. Word on the street academy known to handle this.
We know what that street is about.
You talking about?
Actually, please don't come for us.
Please don't come for us. We are just.
I have no ammunition. The only thing I have is my feet and my legs. I have deer legs. I could kick the hell out of somebody. I just need them to get on the ground.
But you know, this is getting off topic.
We are getting off topic.
But I'm thinking about when I first met you back in like 2004. I think I met you for the first
time. 2004.
And I was like, I remember thinking to myself, I feel like Amber could fight. I feel like Amber got the hands.
I've never gotten in a fight.
Really?
No.
I feel like I still feel like you got the hands.
You think so?
Even back then, I was like, you seem like you.
See, one of my friends already, I was like, boom, and they were like, no, you gotta go like, you gotta hit the person like this. Like the reason you had a fist is not to go like that, it's to go like that. And I was like, oh, yeah, you don't hit the person. Well, that's what they said, because you want that part like that instead of like this, because then you will mess up your knuckles.
Oh.
So you need
I ain't never seen Mike Tyson hit nobody like this.
Well, but that's also because he got gloves on.
Oh yeah.
Or but like if you see people who had those little knuckle things, well, okay, so all the people who, out there who are actual fighters, please confirm whether or not that's true or not. I ain't never been in no fight, so that's why
Yeah.
I said again, I will kick a nigga down. Like just let me get them on the ground. I will use my legs. Wait, let's get back on subject. A-town stuff on you. Oh, like let's go. Rag top on your ass. Anyway, okay, back to what we're talking about.
Hip hop.
And back to you saying that you would need to talk to your therapist.
Yes, to
and
undo
blame
this
it
fear that
on
you
me.
put in me
Yes.
now.
Okay. So now the fear. What do you think?
So yeah, no, at first I was like, nah, like so many people within my group and the people that I listen to and about hip hop, even when Eminem was, and sometimes is considered top 5, everybody's like, of course, like Jay-Z and Nas or Kendrick or Drake. Like it's always Black people that are considered to be top in terms of hip hop. But you made a good point, and that's why it's important to travel. Because when you travel and you have conversations with people outside of your group, you start to see, like you said, the reach of hip hop. And what you were saying was that in Kenya, people know, I don't know if you say they know more about Macklemore.
Well, I'll just say some of the people that I had talked to over there, and this is just to say this was one experience that I had. So, you know, I don't want to say that this example covers the entire continent or covers the entire country of Kenya. But when I was speaking with some young people in Kenya and they were talking about artists that they like, they were naming white artists and white rappers and people like that. And that was shocking to me that there weren't any Black people on their list. And that was just 1 or 2 people, but it was just like, okay. And then, but another thing that gave me that kind of perspective was on Apple Music, they have top 100 playlists that you can listen to. And so I put like the top 100 in Ghana, the top 100 in Kenya, the top 100 in South Africa to just see like, what are some of the top songs. And at that time, it was like Ed Sheeran. And I'm like, the fuck? Like or it would be hip hop? No, just top period.
Oh, top 100 in music.
Just the top 100 in music in that country at whatever
time. I mean,
that
makes sense though.
And so it just made me think, okay, so what gets exported? Like hip hop is one of the biggest exports of the United States. Entertainment is the United States' biggest export, but hip hop is one of them. And so it's funny too. You will see people. What was that one song? Then a box. That song. That song was like #1 everywhere for a while. It really was, and I'm like, wow,
that's such a ghetto song. It's so ghetto.
It is, and so I'm like, damn, this song is. Oh my God. And I'm like, what the hell? It's so the fact that song was exported and that is like very much Black. So you know what my experience could have been very much an outlier type of experience. It just still stoked a little fear in me to be like, no, I don't want this to be happening. But what you brought up too is that just like, okay, well, T.I. created the Trap Museum. We have the museum, the Smithsonian African American Museum in DC, and other places that are preserving this hip hop history. And we need that. We need that more. And so I don't know how many, I'm sure maybe there are some country music museums around that we've never been to, or just that's why the documentary For the Love of Country is important. Excuse me, so that history can begin to be preserved. That's how we preserve our stories. We can see an attack on history right now in the United States. When it comes to how the legislation against CRT, even I think it's the anti-woke legislation in Florida, where people are making sure that certain histories are erased in school, in textbooks and things. But we have to have a very, I guess we could say, a very deliberate and concerted effort to educate our children, educate the next generation about the truth of history, including not just what's happening in legislation and politics, what's also happening in music, what's happening in culture. So that's important, so that we don't so that in 75 years, little Black kids aren't like, wow, hip hop is slicka slim shady. That's the first thing they say. We don't want that to be the thing where, for us, you, John, and me and you, John, we're like, well, country is don't break my heart. And that's our thing. And then they'll be like, slicka slim shady. And we were like, what?
That's a good point.
So that's where we are.
Yeah.
Any last words, John?
No, yeah, I think about like also jazz music too,
Of
right?
course, yeah.
Because jazz, I mean, I think so. Jazz was black, right? We know that. Then I remember like in the 80s and 90s, jazz, people started listening to smooth jazz
and Kenny G.
and
Yeah, exactly.
That was like what we considered jazz. And not until, I think now, well, I don't see, again, it's hard for me to say because I talk to different people. I'm in a different field. So the people that I talk to, the people that I interact with know that jazz is black music. You know what I'm saying? Authentically, like hip hop, like underground, raw, goes against the grain, goes against all the rules of music. But I don't know if outside of that, in the dominant world, that people think about jazz in that way. And I would hate for hip hop. I remember I was listening to something and they were saying that they don't want hip hop to end up being like jazz. Like that thing that's just so like, it's so mainstream. It's nobody's afraid of it. Jazz doesn't really push. People don't really believe jazz pushes the limits like it used to in terms of music and art. And they don't want hip hop to be that way. They want hip hop to still be that thing that makes people uncomfortable, that drives the conversation. And I do believe, and I know, I don't know if you really have that much of a problem with him, but I know Dr. Hater's not a big fan of Jay-Z. But Jay-Z is one person that does a really good job of doing his best to preserve hip hop and hip hop culture in terms of where he puts his money, in terms of the things that he, constructs, the whether it be businesses, whether it be organizations or whatever. He supports a lot of things that will continue to keep hip hop as authentic as possible. You know what I mean? And I think if we support those people who are constantly doing that, who are folks like T.I.'s Trap Music Museum, or anything that is preserving the history of hip hop, that will let the future generation know where it comes from. I think that's important. Also, if you think about a lot of the hip hop, or a lot of the movies about hip hop, I've never seen one about a white rapper, right?
Well, 8 Mile.
Oh, that's right, 8 Mile. I forgot. Okay, well, the big ones, right? Like most of the movies about hip hop have always been like Straight Outta Compton or Notorious, or
8 Mile was big when it was. I never saw it, but people loved 8 Mile.
Yeah, no, I like 8 Mile. 8 Mile was.
But what about Save the Last Dance?
I forgot about Save the Last Dance.
I feel like white people have too many movies where they learn how to dance hip hop, and it's like this.
And she couldn't even dance. Like,
I think about it later, like in later life, it's like whatever she did at the end was still terrible.
It was still bad. The best thing came out of Save the Last Dance was Kerry Washington and her career.
True.
That was the best thing out of Save the Last. Everything else was awful.
True.
Everything else was awful. But no, you're right. I didn't even think about Save the Last Dance. I guess.
I don't know, but those are
hip hop movies too.
Yeah. Honey, I don't know, like that Honey movie. I never saw that one.
That was horrible too. Oh man, dang, Amber.
They're like, white music. This was made for white girls to learn how to dance. But you know what? At the same time, more recently, there have been more recent movies focused on Black people. I mean, there was the semi-documentary Roxanne on Netflix, and that was one that was great to give.
That was big too. I love it.
I thought that was really important. And then there's a number of other documentaries on Netflix about like the history of hip hop and hip hop. There's that, I think, that docuseries Hip Hop Evolution. So it is out there, and I think it just needs if it could just continue to be promoted.
Yeah, so that we can show. And again, I guess it helps me not get too comfortable to think, oh, we still got this.
Yeah, like we still got it.
In Europe, in certain parts of Africa,
or wherever else.
Very different.
Because, and here's the thing, I don't know how much you watch The Colors. Do you watch Colors? That show? It's a music show. So, but what I see is that because hip hop is such an export, everyone everywhere can be a rapper. So you have so many non-Black rappers worldwide, period. And so that shows me it's just like, one, I mean, Black people are the coolest people on the planet, I think. And with that, though, it's just like rap has so many different faces, depending on where you are in the world. It has so many different faces. And that's where I think I began to feel like, okay, what rap is, in rap and hip hop, it's not necessarily just associated with Black people. It is becoming just mainstream popular culture. And so that's where it's just like, okay, we talked about like hip hop is more than just the music, it's the fashion, it's the language, and so now that we have the internet, which has opened up our personal world, Black people's personal worlds to everyone else, and because we are trendsetters and everyone takes from Black culture, what used to be associated with Black people, Black culture, hip hop culture is now just becoming mainstream. The way we talk, the way that we dress, our hair, of course, when it comes to fashion, that's been happening. When it comes to Black hair, and Black hair are what were typically Black hairstyles like cornrows or braids or twists. Now we see non-Black women everywhere wearing those styles, which are now not necessarily associated with hip hop. They're just popular. It's trendy. It's what's in. Or when it comes to, of course, again, the way we talk, the way we use, the way we manipulate the English language, the way we use slang. Of course, we've seen the destruction of slang ever since the internet started. When it comes to, once it hits a Taco Bell commercial or a Zaxby's commercial, it's like, okay, this is no longer cool. So you think about On Fleek, when that was a thing for a period. You think about the dab, like when people were dabbing, and then now it's just like, you see white people dabbing or people or whatever, just.
Or when Gabby Douglas tried to do the Dougie on
so it's like,
oh, poor baby.
So you see, you have all of these things, which it's not just Black, it's just like, this is popular culture. And then it's like, Black people aren't given credit for this stuff. And so it's just like, that's where it becomes this, not just whitewashing, but it's just this, I don't know what you would call it. I'm sure some other academics somewhere have a name for it, but just like this completely just colonizing of what was once a Black thing. And it goes back to our conversation that we had last year about gatekeeping, and is gatekeeping necessary? Because it's just like, some stuff we do want to be ours, and we're going to preserve it as much as possible. And that is okay. Like, we need to do that because credit is important. Oh, and of course, hip hop dances. That's another major one, which we just talked about. So it's not just associated with Black people. But anyway, that's our conversation, folks. This was our mini-sode, just quickly talking about like the origins, the histories, what our fears might be. Hopefully not too many fears. John, you'll talk to your therapist about it, about them.
Yeah, that's another $115.
But we hope that this gives you some things to think about, and also ask yourself, when did you first learn about country music? How did you first learn about it? House music, all of those things. Like, how do you, our audience, preserve the histories of these different musics, or the different types of music or fashion or things in culture? Like, what's your experience with it? We just wanted to give you something to think about.
Absolutely. Well, everybody cool, hearts and minds clear.
I just learned to whistle. I don't know how to whistle. I just learned. That's the most I can do, but I'm very excited about it.
Another episode, y'all. Street Academy Podcast, where we give one foot in the academy and one foot in the streets. Look forward to our next one. Follow us at Street Academy Podcast. Subscribe at Street Academy Podcast. Yeah. Peace,
bye, y'all.
They feed upon the neck of the haters, the game and the devil like came in.